In the previous episode...
Alright, that's enough! Everyone, shut up!
Hello everybody, welcome back. In the previous episode, I have forgotten what happened. I literally recorded this yesterday, so I'm not really sure how I forgot. Let me just read the backlog quickly. Oh, it's just Ash monologuing. Sometimes it's as simple as someone extending a hand first for an apology regardless of every hurtful word said.
Hey. Hey, Ash?
This time I glance at him briefly, gauging the mood. Not because reconciliation's an issue for me between us, it never will be. But somehow this is another thing I'm all too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word, if this is going to end another argument, we might as well stop early now. There is another long pause from him, during which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his hand. In the end, he chooses to stuff both of it into his pockets and trains his eyes at the now empty space behind the counter. Without our notice, Gia slipped back into the kitchen, leaving only the two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment. Still, Zach trudges on, a hopeful tone slipping into his voice simply because it's the only thing he knows to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
It's a start at least. A stiff one, but a start. The least I can offer in return is a rare honesty.
For a few hours, yeah.
Curt, brusque, not an ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zach takes it as a sign. Relief washes over him as his shoulders relax and he releases a tense breath. Soon he's closing the distance he has put between us and flops onto the chair to my right.
I think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
He shifts in his seat, coughs, drums his fingers on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it, no apologies. Somehow that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we've known lately. Maybe not for the better, not yet. However, it's less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment, the kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that there's a thing that'll happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where death might come knocking any time, it's these little hopes we cling to. It's these little things we will wish happen again. I'm not an optimistic person by nature, hopeful maybe, but never optimistic, though I want to believe there's a way we can live through this nightmare. It's just funny how it took all of this to spur these kind of thoughts in me. I can't even remember the last time something like this has occurred to me. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me. Zach, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases. Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at. For all you know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash. Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea. It can't be any worse than this. Maybe. It's on your mind, Ash.
There really is something about Z-Man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him things I wouldn't normally say to the other. Unlike her who pushes, sometimes with the same tenacity as her moods, Zach has this strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. Oftentimes the question feels so subtle it catches me off guard, with less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most grounded. Really, he's like the older brother I never had, the kind you can depend on when things go sour. The kind you tell things to simply because he'll listen without forcing his own opinions on you.
We still have one more lead we haven't checked. I'm gonna look into it tonight.
It doesn't take him long to put two and two together, and his calm expression abruptly dissolves to worry the second he realizes what I meant. We've already examined the letter, read the pile of documents, there's really only one we haven't gotten an ounce over. The mansion. Of course, Zach may not be the kind to push, but that doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet through the years.
Hold on, didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
You're an unarmed civilian, Zach.
And so?
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe. I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there. G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede, not from the manner he grips his knees on the rigid set to his jaw.
I'm going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something. The morning I was there, I heard someone scream, and then there was a woman crying, and I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, you shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
Before I can stop myself, a heavy breath escaped from my mouth. It's one of those times again where Z-Man, I fucking said Z-Man, where Zach means well, but he's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets in a mood like this, he's almost as headstrong as Isabella. How and where do I even start? Oh, with saving. What page am I on? I'm on page 8 of my save files. You're going to get in the way. I'd feel better if I don't have to worry about you. Fuck yeah, yeah! Besties! There are only two ways this will end. I agree with him and take him with me, or I agree with him and drop the idea altogether. Neither appeals more than the other, especially when we're all desperate for answers and a way out. If all it'll take is a little more honesty to make him drop this harebrained idea, so be it.
Look, man. Bro. Z-Man. Zach. Zachary, listen, I know you only want to help.
Like hell! This ain't just about helping, Ashton! You're throwing yourself in the thick of it, on your own! Was your fall last night really that bad? Did you hit your head hard? I honestly can't tell if you've gone stupid or just plain suicidal.
My head's okay, Zach. But it won't stay that way if we don't do anything about this. Someone has to.
Seriously, this is already a desperate move. The longer we dally, the faster we're losing our options. Do we even have one? Looking back at it, this whole business with the ghost seems perfectly set up to drive us into a corner. Either until we lose our mind or she gets us. It's starting to feel as if there isn't an escape, but we've already become her playthings the second Isabella found that letter. That our lives are in her hands ticks me off big time, but the idea of watching the people I care about die helplessly, more so. They're much safer here than with me. It's a selfish thought I know, born out of fear. So, in case things go awry, the very last thing I want to happen is for Zach to take the fall with me. I've already made enough mistakes.
And that means it's just you.
Just me.
Suddenly, he clams up. Although his actions, the restless shift in his shoulders, the mouth pressing close in a tight line, and how he starts off again in a quiet note, it all gives away his real thoughts long before two words have even made it out of his mouth.
I'm sure you already know about this. Maybe this is you trying to make amends, or whatever. I don't know. You're making your own decisions here. But if something happens to you, it'll be just that. You'll just be another dead body out there. Please, don't do something like this.
Don't worry. I'm not stupid enough to get myself killed. I just want things to go back to normal, Zach.
Another dead air follows at the heels of the one admission. The meaning of my words too heavy, too striking, it stuns us into another lull. Optimism aside, we're both aware that's impossible. We're going to have to deal with the trauma right after. There will be the images, the voices whispering inside our heads, the foreboding feeling. The stench of blood, gore, and death trailing after us. We may survive this, but those things, they will remain in us for a long time. One does not survive something like this without it leaving something in you. Just the mere thought of what might come right after makes me dread it. What has this changed in all of us? But I suppose that outcome is more acceptable, the lesser of two evils.
3 hours.
My head snaps up and I turn to him, puzzled. He's staring at his hands with a thoughtful expression, brows furrowed in deep concentration. Like he's trying to choose the right words to convey what he's about to say.
3 hours? For what?
That's more than enough time to go there, to check things, like you said, and travel back here. If you don't show up here beyond that, I'm going after you.
From his tone, it sounds almost like a warning. I'm sure it's not his intention. But hearing something like that from a person like Zach, I can't help but chuckle and throw in a jibe despite how dire things are. Just like the old times.
Make that 4.
What? You said you're just gonna check things. Why would you even need that long?
Speed limit? I'm a ranked law enforcement officer, Zach. I'm supposed to set an example.
I so wanna punch you right now.
Of course, Zach never carries it out. In light moments like this, it's just how he is, how we are. Unfortunately, G chooses the next moment to show up. He slams the flat of his palm on the counter and shooting us both a stern look. Although his tone's nothing short of jovial, the disapproval is clearing it. He is obviously misunderstanding the situation.
Boys, drummer's nice and all. I used to watch these bloody god-awful afternoon serials with one of my brothers many, many years ago.
Brothers?
But listen, I am not having one in my pub, all right? You two want to fight? Go out.
A pregnant pause. Then, without any preamble, Zach and I are both snickering and G's glower melts into confusion. When we both show no sign of stopping, he simply shakes his head and turns away. I'd like to think it's better this way, better that we part on light terms so Zach won't have to see every little insecurity, every little doubt in me right now. Monday, October 31st. Zachary's arrival interrupted Ashton's conversation with G. Left alone, the two attempted to mend things between them, only for things to almost turn sour after Ashton revealed his plans to return to the mansion. His friend eventually acquiesced after Ashton agreed to a time limit. Did they agree on 4 hours or 3? He's seen enough. The last thing I want is him to glimpse another display of weakness. Not when he still stares at me with the same unerring confidence in his eyes. When our mirth dies down before anything can be said further, before I change my mind, I step away from them. Giving Zach's shoulder a quick few pats, mumbling a lame excuse about taking another short nap under my breath. Altogether buying the stray thought that flashes fleetingly in my head. Zach has seen me at my lowest plenty of times. What does all of it matter now? Ooh. The sun hangs lower when I stumble back into consciousness and drag myself downstairs. Around this time, the patrons usually start to trickle into the main lounge until it reaches a peak around midnight. Today, however, it remains thin. But considering what day it is, it isn't too worrisome for the kind of business G runs. I mean, it's Monday. He has always complained about the lack of a decent crowd on a weak start, although he doesn't really begrudge his customers for it. No one wants to start the week with a bad case of a hangover after all, even him. Which makes the concerned look he gives me come off a bit too odd. With the kind of danger we're in, this swiftly puts me on the edge, even before sleep completely fades from my mind.
Something wrong, G?
G hums, but there's an undertone of annoyance in it despite his casual and open movements. Marianne is not here. And only after he finishes wiping a tumbler and carefully settling it face down on the table does he give me an answer. The way he stares back at me honestly makes me squirm. It feels like I'm being stared down by my primary school teacher for sleeping in class again.
Nothing much. Monday's still a slow day for this place. But you might want to check on your friends, kid. Looks like one of them woke up on the wrong side of the bed while you were out.
Another question forms in my head along with a small confused frown. Wait, so Ash went to the mansion and we have no idea what happened. Okay. Though before a single syllable slips past my mouth, Rebecca's irate voice rings out from some part of the main lounge. From the sound of it, it appears woke up on the wrong side of the bed is a complete understatement.
Alone? You know we can't just go in there.
But we don't have any other choice, Becca! There's really no other way. We have to go there. If you'll just...
Isabella, no.
That doesn't sound too comforting. Once Rebecca assumes that kind of tone in an argument with Isabella, it usually ends with one of them walking out or both giving the other the silent treatment. It lasts for about a week at most if it's really bad, which really isn't what we need right now. I've hoped the bad blood from this morning will simply blow over after all of us have gotten a decent rest. I should have expected things won't be the same with them as it is with Zach and I. Turns out sleep isn't just what some of us need. Even G appears to understand. In spite of his efforts to look as unconcerned as possible, there's a tense set on his shoulders. A nervous edge lingers in his eyes as it occasionally flickers over where Rebecca and Isabella's voices are coming from. He doesn't want to deal with this, especially at the start of another busy week. Neither do I. Things have worked out well between them before without Zach or I meddling. But the imploring gaze G directs at me leaves me with no other choice. It almost feels like he's guilting me into doing something about it. I hate that it's working.
You know how I run this pub, kid. No fist fights, no cat fights, only good booze, bad puns, and off-key singing. Go fix it before it blows up in your faces. I'd hate to throw two girls out of this place over a petty argument.
It's probably not as petty if Rebecca's already shouting like that, but I give him a nod nevertheless.
Sorry about this, G.
He hums something under his breath for an answer and waves me off, turning away and returning to his roke without another word. Even with the lack of sizable crowd, he likes to keep busy. We're the same in that regard. Can't remain still, always has to stay moving, doing something, thinking, whatever keeps the brain at work. I leave him to it shortly after. Rebecca's voice rings out once again, followed by Isabella's. But part of me wants to thank him for all the trouble he has taken for people he barely even knew? Once this is over, I should probably find some way. In the meantime, I have this immediate problem to fix. Gotta get to it before it turns into a shitstorm both of them will regret. And I know both of them will. For all of Isabella's complaints about Rebecca's bossy attitude, or how annoying Rebecca sometimes finds the other's childlike demeanor, it's a friendship that they both cherish in their own way. The music! Rebecca's already on her feet when I spot them in an almost deserted area of the pub. I'm willing to bet my entire life savings that people are staying away only because of the brewing storm. Rebecca can have quite the mood when she's cross. I can't speak for Isabella, I rarely ever hear seething, but from what I've heard, it can be very unpleasant. The way she's glaring up the redhead from her seat, regardless of how much the other woman towers over her right now, already says everything. Empty plates have been left neatly piled on the corner of the table they occupy, a conversation that turns sour sometime after late lunch then. Good thing they're already done and there's nothing left to be spilled. Because in the next moment, before I can approach and intervene, Rebecca slams her palm on the table. It sends the silverware clinking sharply against the surface. Isabella flinches momentarily, we both do, though she shows no indication of surrendering in the face of Rebecca's temper. Everything escalates from there.
You've already gotten us in enough trouble because of this letter ghost everything.
You're blaming me again!
And you can't expect everyone to fix your mess.
You keep on putting the blame on me, but you're the one who didn't listen. All of you! If you just listened in the first place, maybe this wouldn't have happened. But you're too busy acting like you know what's best for everyone, when in fact you're the one who's being selfish.
I'm the one who's selfish, yet you're still going to do what you want anyway, even if the people around you are already beside themselves with worry.
Where is Zach in this?
This is how you've always acted since we met, and I'm tired of it. Sometimes I wish you never even came here, because all you've given us is a headache.
You know why I had to come here. My dad!
Your dad has nothing to do with this. It has always been you and your whiny, careless self that has always been the problem.
Maybe I should have stepped in earlier. Yeah. Maybe I should have said something the moment Rebecca had slammed her flat of her hand on the table or the second I entered the area. Either way, it's too late to act. Harsh words have already been hurled between the two. Yeah, fucking hell. Monday, October 31st. When Ashton showed up at the pub's main lounge again, he caught Rebecca and Isabella in the middle of an argument. The latter insisted on going back to the mansion, which the former strongly opposed. However, before Ashton could step in, harsh words had already been said. Words more cutting than any blade, each and every one of it digging a wound too deep in the person they've been aimed at. For a long time, Isabella sits there in silence while Rebecca stands unmoving, arms crossed and breathing heavy. Give me one sec. I mean, Rebecca and Isabella's relationship is actually better than when it started. Despite the lack of words between them, they're both vibrating with anger, refusing to meet the other's eyes. Ever so slowly, the atmosphere in the room turns thick and smothering. A strained air no one wants in the immediate vicinity, including me, dares to break it until one at the center of it does so. Rebecca definitely won't. At some point in our friendship, she has grown to become a woman firm with her opinions. She's never going to back down from this, not when she knows she has a point. Isabella, on the other hand, there has always been a certain stubbornness in her. As frustrating as it is to see sometimes, it is what has gotten her through life's hardships. Perhaps even the only thing that has. When you have nothing else, people tend to cling on to what they have within themselves instead. But she also knows when to withdraw, when a struggle turns useless, a kind of awareness almost second nature to her. When enough is enough, Isabella abruptly stands and marches towards the exit, in fast, rigid steps away from the hurt and painful words they let fly earlier. She bumps into me in her haste, the impact nearly knocking her off her feet. Instinct kicks in at the last moment and I reach out for her, grabbing her arm in a steady grip. Surprise flits across her face, an expression mirrored by Rebecca behind her. Neither of them have noticed me. However, that doesn't mean I won't have things to say about this. Ooh! Ooh! I think their relationship's almost the same. Isabella's is slightly higher. I wish there was just an option to just let them argue it out, because, like, why do you have to get involved? Right, so, if we go with Isabella, that will probably be the end of Becca's romantic pursuit of Ash. If we go with Becca, then I feel like Isabella might just do something stupid. I think I'm gonna sign with Isabella because I do not think Rebecca and Ash are a good couple. I don't think Isabella and Ash are a good couple either, but like the fact that Rebecca has just loved him for so long, I think girl needs to move on.
Okay.
Ooh, that's really bad. Wait, I'm just gonna go the other way quickly.
Okay.
Ooh, wow. That's a really big change. Jesus Christ. Sheesh. I'll stick with my choice.
Okay.
Rather than answer, once her shock subsides, she merely averts her gaze and hastily wipes the tears off her cheeks, like she only noticed them in that moment. Also, side note, I feel like the things that Becca said were significantly harsher than what Isabella said. Then, without another word or even meeting my eyes again, she gently brushes my hand off and runs off, leaving an awkward hush in her wake. Rebecca soon slumps on the chair Isabella has just left, gingerly reaching up to press the bridge of her nose and breathing out a ragged exhale. Arguments like this have always drained both her patience and energy, usually more than her rowdy students do, despite being no stranger to it. It's no excuse for her to say those things, though, and my disapproval must be clear enough on my face. When she finally glances back at me, her exhaustion immediately shifts back to annoyance, her mouth curving down to a tight frown. I cross my arms in response, waiting, a reaction verging on instinctive in the face of her irritation. Regardless of my opinions about this, I didn't say anything yet, not until she's the one willing to ask. Another minute passes while we stare at each other down, but eventually she breathes out again and relaxes her rigid posture.
What do you want, Ash? If you have something to say, just tell me, or I'm going back upstairs.
Did you really have to say it like that?
Well, how do you want me to answer her? Do you want me to just let her go there and do what she wants? I know you won't be too happy if I did that.
That's a low blow, Rebecca. Even for you. We all know she wasn't even planning on staying here this long. There was no need to bring it up if all you wanted to do was stop her.
Did you even see how she's acting? She's not a child anymore. Even my students can do better.
Becca, she'll listen if you'll just ask her properly. I know you mean well and you do have a point, but please be a little more thoughtful next time.
Yeah, Becca doesn't know that Isabella's dad passed away.
Go think about it for a while.
By some miracle, the whole discussion ends right there. Rebecca elects to stay silent, or at least that's how it is when a minute or two passes and she says nothing. A rare occurrence when she almost always has something on her mind. Only an uneasy atmosphere hangs in the air when I finally decide to remove myself from the room. She doesn't stop me. Instead, something inexplicable flickers momentarily in her eyes, one that quickly disappears until only a vague notion of it remains in memory. But in that one exchange, I've caught a short, clear glimpse of what has shifted, of what's inevitable. So much has changed throughout the years, we will never be the same person we once were. And if it's for the better, we've yet to know. A lull has descended in the main lounge once I return. G's nowhere to be seen, people continue to trickle in and out, and by this time I get back, only 2 tables remain occupied. Soon these people too will be gone and the whole place will be devoid of anyone. Frankly, its current state already lends the place an entirely different vibe. Along with soothing strums of strings and the steady beat of drums playing overhead, there's a calming sense to this. A far cry from the times I've been here before. And perhaps it's for this reason why Isabella has chosen this place to retreat. She sits quietly in the furthest corner of the room in one of the tables set right beside the windows. G usually keeps the curtains closed around this hour, but a small portion of it has been pulled back, revealing the busy streets outside. The late afternoon light spill right through it, outlining her small form and pulling on the surface of the table where both her arms rest. In her hand, she flips a piece of folded paper, turning it from one side to the other without any purpose. The letter. A small frown creases her forehead while she stares at it, yet there is something oddly tranquil in the picture she has unknowingly painted. Something I can't bring myself to disturb, if only for a few seconds. It's one of those moments again. The rare ones, the ones where she's too still, too quiet, a complete opposite of her usual self, but it's these that often leave a mark. Not her cheery disposition or her lively attitude, but these short few seconds of wordless silence, where the softest sighs and the slightest movement sing louder. The smallest minuscule things that tell you about that person and her strength more than any words can express. It's these that carve a vivid memory no matter how brief it lasts. She glares at me, annoyed, and just like that, all of it melts away. Gone is the stillness, replaced quickly by the teasing and friendly jibes. Back again to what we're used to, what's easy, what's familiar, where every truth we hope to convey regrettably goes unsaid between us.
You're going to destroy an important piece of evidence if you keep doing that, Belle.
But she's far from angry. A bit upset maybe, who wouldn't be? While I do agree with Rebecca, her words still hit below the belt. What do you agree with? Regardless, Isabella doesn't seem like she'll start shouting at me, at least compared to every other person I've aggravated, intentional or otherwise. Some light talk might just do the trick and coax her out of this mood.
Come on. If you keep staring at the table like that, you're going to bore a hole on it. I really don't want to OG a new table. He'll pick the most expensive one and leave me begging on the streets.
She levels a quick glance at me, her expression dry and impassive, enough to drain every colour out of the room. It's as if I've just told her a terrible joke and she's expecting there'll be more of it. Really now? She really needs to give me more credit than that. My jokes are funny when I want them to be.
And I really don't care. I'd even take pictures and post them online. Go away, Ash. I don't want to talk right now.
Yet it sounds half-hearted at best. Like what's happening has already sapped every bit of energy in her, and all that's left are the words. Pretty soon those two will lose their meaning and leave a hollow shell in their wake. It's already unusual to see her like this. Everything has already gone to shit. I'd like at least this one thing to stay normal. So somehow we manage. We continue for the better half of the hour, talking, joking, with her short, feeble responses and banter that never goes anywhere. But it's enough. In the grand scheme of things, amidst the chaos and the death shadowing over us, it's these little inconsequential moments that matter. It's her smile, her laughter when it finally rings, easy and free of her burdens.
Okay, I have another one.
I don't want to hear it, Ashton. Go away.
No, really, listen. I know someone who talks like an owl.
Will you leave me alone if I bite and ask who?
A pause. And then she frowns as realization slowly dawns on her. Confusion flashes fleetingly across her face before eventually setting on a grimace.
Oh.
Suddenly, she hugs her arms closer to herself and looks away. Perhaps it's her best attempt to stay angry. To no avail. In a matter of seconds, her shoulders shake with laughter she's trying to contain.
You're awful and I really hate you. Just leave.
It's contagious, her mirth. Soon I'm joining her in it, briefly forgetting every problem that has piled up and continues to weigh down on us. Laughing without reservation or care until only a familiar warmth lingers once both our amusement ebbs away. Somehow with her, these things have always come easy.
Feeling better?
A little. You're still lame.
But you're laughing right now.
Only because your humor is terrible.
Right. Keep telling yourself that. I know it's funny. And you know what? If you've kept frowning like that, your face might have cracked. That would have been really messy and ugly.
If glares can kill, with the one she sends my way, I'll probably be dead by now. Seeing it directed my way, it takes only a few quick seconds for me to realize how she might have also taken my statement. How wrong and rude it might have sounded in her ears, however unintentional it is. I've never been good with words, but then it's never an acceptable excuse, is it? Suddenly, taking the brunt of her anger seems less complicated than correcting or explaining myself. Nevertheless, I try.
What? Crap. Damn it, that was so not what I meant. I was just saying you look better when you're smiling.
Her glow doesn't even wane, in fact. I think it's intensified like a brewing storm. In the face of it, under the sharpness of her stare and her annoyance, I do what any person with a good sense of self-preservation does. Keep my mouth shut and shift my attention elsewhere. The crowd outside looks very interesting today. Maybe I should...
Thanks, Ash.
She utters all of this in a voice too small, too quiet, but when I turn to her, only those words, her gratitude, resonate throughout the whole room. Not the soft clinking of silverware somewhere, nor the last strains of music fading into the silence above us. Instead, it's a meaning behind her gaze as she holds mine that lingers. Steadily, unflinching, and open, in the same way she looked at me all those years ago, with bright eyes and an expression softening into a tender smile. I didn't understand it then, how easy it is for her to wear her heart on her sleeve, how she never shies away from expressing herself, even among people she barely knows. How she can go through everything without losing herself. Now it's among the hundreds, the thousands that hang unspoken between us, trivial little things with worth still too big to put into words. Either because it's too early or because there is never really a proper time. For now though, this'll do. Until the moment itself dwindles. Until reality pulls us back in, reminding us of the things we set aside in its favor.
Isabella, about what happened with Rebecca earlier.
Oh, sorry.
I should probably apologize to Becca. I know she only means well. And I said some really bad things.
The corners of her mouth quirk up, almost as if she's too ashamed of the things she said.
Don't worry, she can be pretty stubborn, but she'll listen. Especially to you.
You think?
Because Zach won't be with us anymore.
What? I think we accidentally went into the storyline where Zach died? What? What?
Because Zach won't be with us anymore.
What? You're one of the few people she likes. You're welcome.
She won't stay angry for long. I can vouch for it.
She has a point, though. Isabella freezes in an instant. The pleasant air around us dissipates. She shifts her attention back to her hands again, both clenched so tightly that her knuckles visibly pale.
I know, Ash. I just thought we'd find something in there. That if I go back, we'll get the answers we need. I found the letter there. So maybe, right?
It's not that I don't agree with her. Hell, I've been considering the same thing. I thought you already did it. It's the only lead we have, after all. But Rebecca also has a point I will always agree with. No matter how desperate I am, it's not going to be a simple walk in the park. Who knows what we might find in there. If she comes with me, I won't be able to guarantee her safety. She'll be in even greater danger. Why don't they all just go? Hence, alone. Exactly as I have told Zach. If there's a need to go back to that accursed place, I'm doing it on my own. Whether or not the rest of them agree with this plan is inconsequential. Their well-being is my top priority, and I'm not just about to drag them in there with me. So I tell her as much, despite the determination and desperation in her eyes. Anything to keep her safe. Safe like saving. And ending the episode there. The episodes are getting a bit longer. Like, I'm just trying to finish it, you know? I would normally like about 25 minutes, but we're just gonna have to maybe start doing 30-minute episodes. I looked at the branching tree, and we're about 45% of the way through Ash's story. Considering maybe a few episodes ago we were like 3% through it. It's not too bad now. Probably, like I said, 2 or 3 more episodes of Ash, and then we'll move on to Luke in the finale. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you all in the next video. Kisses, bye bye.